All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the technology that pretty much runs our daily lives. We're going to start with a really simple idea. What even is information? And then build our way up, piece by piece, to see how it can zip across the entire planet in an instant.
I mean, it really does feel like magic, doesn't it? You type something into your browser, hit enter, and bam, a whole world of stuff just appears. But it's not magic, not at all. It's actually a super clever, logical series of steps. And we're going to follow that journey together, all the way from a single thought to a global connection. So, where do we even begin? Well, before we can talk about computers or the internet, we have to get a handle on what information really is. The best way to think about it is like a ladder. We're going to start on the very first rung and climb our way up. You know, this climb happens all around us, every single day. Let's say you see a number, 25 degrees Celsius. By itself, that's just raw data. It doesn't mean much. But if we add some context, hey, today's forecast is a sunny 25 degrees, now it's become useful information. And if we track that info over years, we gain knowledge. June is almost always warm and sunny. See? We just climbed the ladder from a random number to a predictable pattern.
Okay, so now that we have all this powerful information at our fingertips, how are we supposed to use it, responsibly? This brings us to the human part of the equation, the rules, both written and unwritten, that guide how we should all behave in this digital world. And this is absolutely crucial. Information ethics isn't just about what's legal, it's about what's right. It's that gut feeling that tells you not to share someone's private photos, or to get into online bullying, or to spread misinformation. It all comes down to a really simple idea. There is a real, live human being on the other side of that screen. When it comes to legally protecting our ideas, there are basically two big categories. If you write a song or create a piece of art, copyright kicks in and protects your work the very second you create it. You don't have to do a thing. But if you invent a new kind of gadget, you have to go through a whole formal registration process to get a patent. So just think of it this way. Art gets automatic protection, inventions need paperwork. All right, so we know what information is, and we know the ethics of using it. But the big question is, how do we protect it? Because let's be honest, in our digital world, the threats are literally everywhere. The good news is, so are the defenses. Let's take a look at what we're up against. So you've probably heard the term malware. It's kind of the catch-all umbrella term for any nasty software out there. It comes in a few different flavors. You've got your viruses, which latch onto a program to mess up your files. Then there are worms, which can tunnel through an entire network, infecting everything in their path. And the sneakiest of all, the Trojan horse, which pretends to be a normal app just to get past your defenses. Oh, we've all seen these emails. You get an urgent message, looks totally legit, says it's from your bank, and it's telling you to verify your account immediately. You click the link and it takes you to a website that's a perfect clone of your bank's real site. The second you type in your username and password, boom, the scammers have it. That's phishing. Now this one is just plain awful. Ransomware gets into your system and locks up all your important files, your photos, your work documents, everything. Then a scary message pops up demanding you pay them money to get your own files back. It's basically a digital hostage situation, and it's a massive threat to everyone, from regular people to giant companies. So, with all these threats, how do we fight back? Well, our number one line of defense is authentication, proving that we are who we say we are. A password is just something you know, and as we just saw, that can be stolen. That's why the best security, like two-factor authentication, always combines it with something you have, like a code on your phone, or something you are, like your fingerprint. It just makes it so much harder for the bad guys to get in. Okay, we've talked about what information is, why it's important to be ethical, and how to protect it. Now let's get down to the really cool technical stuff. How does a computer actually think? Well, it turns out it all boils down to a surprisingly simple, universal language. Take a look at this. I mean, it just looks like a meaningless jumble of zeros and ones, right? Total gibberish. But believe it or not, to a computer, this is a real word, and it can read it perfectly. Any guesses what it might say? This is the magic of binary. At its very core, every single thing you do on a computer, every letter in an email, every pixel in a photo, every note in a song, it all gets broken down into a simple sequence of zeros and ones. That long string of numbers from a second ago, that was just the binary code for the word hello. It's the fundamental language of every single computer on Earth.
And here's a super simple way to see how it works with numbers. In our normal, everyday life, we use 10 digits, 0 through 9. Binary, it just uses 2. So the number 1 is just 1. But then to write the number 2, you run out of digits, right? So you have to roll over to the next column, making it 10. 3 becomes 11, 4 is 100. And on it goes. It's just a different way of counting, but it's totally logical once you see it.
Okay, final piece of the puzzle. We've got our information and we've turned it into the computer's language of zeros and ones. So, how does it actually get from my computer all the way over to yours? This is where the internet's amazing global address book comes into play. Every single device that's connected to the internet, your laptop, your phone, your smart TV, you name it, gets a unique IP address. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like the mailing address for your house. Without that specific address, the internet would have no idea where to send the information you asked for. But let's be real, nobody wants to memorize long strings of numbers just to visit a website. And that's where the domain name system, or DNS, completely saves the day. It's literally the internet's phone book. You just type in a human-friendly name you can remember, and DNS does the work of looking up the correct number, the IP address, for you. So let's walk through it one last time. You type a website address into your browser. Your computer has no idea where that is, so it asks a DNS server, the internet's phone book. That DNS server looks up the name, finds the matching IP address, and sends it back to your computer. Now your browser has the exact street address it needs to connect and load the page. And the craziest part? This whole 4-step dance happens in a fraction of a second, billions and billions of times a day. So there you have it, from the simple idea of data becoming knowledge, to the ethics of how we behave online, to the security we need, and all the way down to the simple zeros and ones that make it all work. We've really covered the fundamental building blocks of our digital world. Which kind of leaves us with one big, fascinating question to think about. If everything we see, create, and share online is ultimately just a long string of zeros and ones, what does that really mean for the future? Are there any limits to what information can actually become?